What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Harley Quinn issue number 9. This one's written by Stephanie Phillips with art by Riley Rossmo, and this is yet again another Fear State tie-in. And kind of like when I was talking about the Catwoman book, which I just reviewed right before this one, the placement of these issues I think was kind of a mistake. They should have scheduled this issue to be released before the Fear State finale. Really, the Fear State finale should have probably been next week. I think that would have been a lot better, all things considered, because a lot of these issues take place before the events of that. So now we're going into these things, and they really should have been released beforehand. And plus, everything important kind of happens in the main Batman book, and like stuff like this with, I mean, the stuff I did enjoy was the stuff with, I don't know, Kevin, and there are some events that kind of all tie into what's going on with the backtrack to what's going on with Harley Quinn, but like the main stuff with Fear State and that, like there's not even an indication that says, hey, go check out this issue of Batman this to see what happens with Harley Quinn and all that in this thing. So yeah, once again, Fear State I felt like kind of interrupted this thing, but there are some good things in it. There's some humorous dialogue from Harley Quinn. There is a good moment with Harley's new sidekick, Kevin, and I guess his relationship forming with this one girl, was it named Sam? And so we get some of that stuff, and I think there's a funny moment where he has the shoulder angel and shoulder devil. He kind of reminds me a bit, if you've ever seen Emperor's New Groove, he reminds me of Kronk so much. And even his shoulder angels and shoulder devils, like, it's going to be Harley Quinn. And I like how the one side is really angelic and kind of like much more properly dressed, and then you have kind of this sexed up like devil version of like shoulder devil on his other side. And like the art style, again, this is Riley Rossmo's art style. It's very cartoony and kind of out there. So if it's for you, it's kind of something you have to kind of get used to as you read the book. It's a little outlandish, but like over time, I feel like the style kind of grows on you, and it fits the tone of the book that's going on here. But ultimately, Kevin does decide to save this guy, and Harley once again comes toe-to-toe with the villain Keepsake, who's been a pain in her ass throughout this, pretty much most of this entire book, and eventually she's able to stop him because of course she is. And her and Riley reunite because they're pretty much going to try and get the two Ivies to merge together, which is stuff that we've already kind of seen. And yeah, so we got that going on there, so you know what's going to happen inevitably based on the other things with Fear State. So like I said, I really wish they would have released these issues before that whole reunion and merging together, because it would have helped with the flow of the events of Fear State. Because like I wonder how this is going to be collected in a big trade paperback. Like all these issues are going to be one giant like overstuffed book that says, okay, here's all the Fear State tie-ins, and they're all kind of like in this order merged together. You know what would have been better with Fear State? Kind of like I'll say kind of like what they did with the events of Dark Knight's Metal. I thought they handled that better than what was going on in Fear State. Like the first Metal, where they had like an issue of like, let's say Green Arrow or Nightwing, and they just had part 1 the Nightwing issue, part 2 this, part 3 that, part 4 that, and it would be in the next issue of whatever it is. That worked so much better with the various tie-ins, and plus you could have cut down on like the confusion of how these titles line up. It would have been more organized and such. So that's something I feel like would have worked to its advantage a bit more. But basically, so Kevin saves this guy, and then who wouldn't have saved his ass, because obviously like he leaves Kevin to die, but Kevin is saved by Sam. And like I said, there's kind of this like Kronk vibe from Kevin, and I kind of enjoy that quite a bit. So like I said, I like Harley Quinn's sidekick in here. I think he's just kind of a big lovable oaf. And then obviously they have the Gardener and Catwoman and all that. So you got your Gotham City Sirens reunion. And obviously we know what happens next with Harley Quinn and Ivy and all that. So given the events of Batman. So yeah, again, this is another issue where it definitely had some of the humor there. And like it touches more into some of the events of Harley's backstory, which is stuff we kind of already know. Like anybody who knows Harley Quinn should know of her history with the Joker. So you get kind of moments like that. I just feel like this issue should have been released a lot sooner than what happened, because reading this after what we've already read, it kind of kills some of the momentum of the story, if that makes sense. Or like we know what happens, so there's no real suspense in the way this thing was released. I don't know, it just seemed like a scheduling issue with DC, if you ask me. I think it could have been handled a little bit better. And yeah, so I like the stuff with Kevin, so that's my big takeaway from this issue. There's some funny bits. Do I like it a lot? Like I said, I feel like Fear State kind of like tells every important bit that you need to know with Harley and Ivy, and also Catwoman too. So I like some of this just didn't really feel necessary, given I've already kind of read it in other books. But this is the Harley Quinn book, so there should be an emphasis on this anyways. It's just, like I said, it's just kind of an okay issue. I'm more looking forward to what happens next, given what happened in Fear State with Harley and Ivy kind of being merged with her other self and now being fully together at this point. So I'm looking forward to see what happens next there. So yeah, that's my big takeaway with that. And the highlight of this issue was probably just Kevin for me, like and his shoulder Harley Quinn angel and shoulder Harley Quinn devil. So yeah, like I said, there's some funny bits here, but it could have been stronger. But Fear State once again kind of hindered it a little bit. So yep, that's all I really have to say. Tell me your thoughts on it in the comments section down below. Be sure to like this video, share with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content. Be sure to come back next time, as I'm going to talk about another issue that's listed as a Fear State tie-in, which is Task Force Z, but it really doesn't tie into the events, all things considered. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and talk about that. Then I'll be all caught up with Fear State, and we'll catch back up with Fear State in a few weeks, and then we will be done. All right, well, that's all I got to say. Tell me your thoughts on the issue in the comment section down below. As always, take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.